Hello, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday to see a couple of Atlantic League games. Tim Furrow plays these two games. Again, the first one's against Giorgio. Second one is against Harry. And Tim stands at 3-1 heading into these games. He's got a great shot to make the playoffs. He will definitely make the playoffs if he wins both. Even just winning one puts him in good position, but doesn't guarantee anything. So, since we've got two games today, we're going to play them at a little bit higher speed. So let's get to it. First, we have the Giorgio game. Tim's the USSR for this one. We'll be watching from his side on both games. And wow, what an absolute banger of an opening hand. All three Europe attack cards. Vietnam at D-Call, best cards for attacking Asia. And D-Stall. My goodness, what an opening hand. Okay, we'll see how Tim wants to do this. So, can use sock govs here. Go three Thailand, one Laos. Makes sense. Could have just taken Thailand, but we'll see how Giorgio responds to this. Now, the only thing Tim doesn't have in this hand is a 4-op. Oh boy. 1-op. So just a quick 1-op coup of Laos. Doesn't stop domination, but gets some presence there in Southeast Asia. Wonder if we'll see Tim just coup that back. But with D-Call, D-Stall in his hand, Europe attack cards, Tim might want to drive DEFCON down. So we might see a coup of Iran. Yeah, I thought we might. And yeah, I like that decision from Tim, even with the Middle East scored. Let's get DEFCON down. Let's get access to Western Asia. I like the decision for him. Tim also needs mill ops as he could be eventing some, obviously D-Call and D-Stall are, of course, events, but we might even see De Gaulle or Suez evented. Okay, Comic-Con. I wonder what we will see here. Perhaps into France, perhaps Lebanon, maybe even a step into Burma. If Giorgio's worried about getting couped out of Laos. 2 Burma and 1 Egypt. Okay, so that stops Asia Dom. Max Goldman, hope you're watching. As Burma has been taken on turn 1 AR2, not just stepped into, but taken. You don't usually see that. Okay, so Tim takes Indonesia to reestablish the domination, and puts 3 into Africa. Giorgio responds by taking France, which makes sense, and Tim's going to take shore up his position in Africa. That makes sense. What I'm not sure I understand is Giorgio's use of 2 ops in the Middle East. That's the only region so far that is scored. I would have liked to see the one that went into Libya. I feel like that one could have gone Philippines. Okay, a 1-op coup. And Tim's happy to see that because I assume he'll just take a coup right back. Lower DEFCON down, lock in his gains in Africa. Anything but a 1 here gets a 2. Yeah, Tim very happy with that sequence. He's got Asia domination. He's got Iran. Oh, and this could be large. When he hits the Korean War, I suspect we'll just see the 2 back in there. Yeah, that's annoying for Tim. But I think he wants to attack Europe, so he's going to trigger De Gaulle and see if Giorgio has a 3-op to fill up France. We've seen all 3 Europe attack cards. So unlikely Tim can prevent a domination if Giorgio has a 3 here. Oh, just a 2. Okay, and stops Asia Dom by taking Philippines and puts 1 into France. Okay, and here we go. Tim gets NTB and Marshall, so he's got those 4 ops to take France if he wants to and is not purged. But purge certainly would make sense as a headline. CIA already seen. I think Fidel makes the most sense here. And yes, indeed, we do see the purge. So, question for Tim as to what he wants to do here. Interesting. Okay, a little surprising there. Tim's going to give up the coup in Angola in exchange for getting South Korea. Tim figuring he can get his mill ops with IP war, but he really wanted to lock down South Korea, which is probably going to make the difference in Asia, Dom. Now, Giorgio, I have to think, is going to just coup Angola here, but then Tim can destall into Zaire. So Giorgio probably thinks he's getting two battlegrounds out of this. Oh, he's going to place influence himself. Okay, and going to stop Asia Dom by taking Malaysia. Little surprised not to see Tim take that coup. Or excuse me, to see Giorgio not take that coup. But okay, Tim now going to take Pakistan. 5 countries for Giorgio, 6 for Tim. So Giorgio can stop Asia Dom with a 3 into India, or he can just take a coup. But if he was going to take the coup, I feel like it would have been much better to take it in Angola when Zaire wasn't filled. So I think I would have cooed if I were Giorgio, accepted that I'm dominated in Asia, and just take my gains in Africa and my 2 mill ops. We obviously know that Giorgio doesn't have IP war, so he's not going to get mill ops if Tim coups. Tim probably wants to UN Marshall, and now he can because he played China. He can UN Marshall, still hold defectors. Europe also sitting out there unscored, but Tim has demonstrated that he doesn't have it. Giorgio thinking hard about his next decision. 3 India. He does not have access to Afghanistan. Okay, yeah, and looks like okay, nope. Interesting. Okay, going to take Europe Dom and stop Asia Dom by poking North Korea. That doesn't accomplish much. Tim just fixes there with a 1-op. Interestingly, not much in the way of red 3s out there. All Europe attack cards gone. D-stall in our hand. And I believe Comic-Con and Warsaw are gone too. Okay, Giorgio finally takes the coup. Oh, and he rolls a brutal 1. That hurts. Okay. So Tim doesn't really want to take out of Romania here. Wants to leave open the possibility of fighting for Europe Dom. And Tim goes for an incredibly conservative de-Stalinization. Putting all 4 into South America. Giorgio scores Europe. And Tim thinking about giving Marshall here. I'm a little surprised at that. He could UN that, trigger IP war for the mill ops, and then hold defectors. But Tim clearly wants to hold both UN and defectors. Little surprised at this. I really hate giving Marshall in the early war, particularly with France not overprotected. But I can understand it, given that you want to hold UN. CIA could be coming back. Oh, and there's CNS, more VPs for Giorgio. Tim wants to get his mill ops. He'll miss on the roll, but Giorgio still up 9 heading into turn 3. Nasser still to come, and Giorgio needs to get presence in the Middle East. So I suspect we will see him take Egypt and or Libya here. Tim looking good in Asia. He's looking good in Africa. Okay, just Egypt, no Libya, and then 1 into India. Okay, and here we go, turn 3. Tim picks up Asia. And in fact, that might be the headline. Without China in his hand. Cambridge 5 doesn't really do anything for you in Europe if it hits it. And if Giorgio has Nasser, then interesting. Defectors, he plays defectors in the headline. Yeah, I'm a little curious about that. Okay. So Tim decides not to headline Asia. Um, if Tim gets hit with an IP war, he's not getting this Dom anyway. So I'm a little confused by the decision not to headline Asia. But okay, Tim now has held over UN, saves the VP on defectors. He's held UN through, and he will be able to UN NATO and keep the possibility of a brush of Italy alive. Tim gets his much needed 8 VPs out of Asia after Giorgio briefly went up 12. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Tim is joining us. But yes, a U.S. Japan headline there would have stopped domination, 6 countries to 6. Tim still would have had a choice um, as to whether to fight for Asia Dom or give up another coup. Okay, there goes decall to space. Giorgio hits the roll, and he's got double space now. But too little too late on decall. It came turn 1, and Tim has solidified his position in South America and in Africa. So certainly rather be Tim on this board. Tim's going to want to solidify South America. Probably going to want to take Iraq and the Middle East as well. Asia scored, so it's less important. But presumably, 8 ops left for Tim. 3 into the bottom half of South America, 1 into the top half, 2 into Iraq, and then we've got to overprotect Zaire. Yep. Giorgio, for his part, is going to want to take Mexico. He's going to want to take Panama. He's going to want to put an extra in Angola. He's going to want to take South Africa. Well, okay, wants to space Suez. Misses on the roll. I think this should be Olympic. Yep, that makes sense. Reestablish the Middle East Dom. And then we'll finish up with 2 Chile, 1 Venezuela, and maybe 1 South Africa. Pakistan is sitting out there, but Asia is scored. Probably Tim doesn't think it's that important. There goes containment. That's got to fill Panama and Mexico. Oh no, we're going to go Colombia. And so Tim now, okay, Tim's going to give NATO. Interesting. So Tim gave Marshall and gave NATO. This is not how I play Twilight Struggle, folks. I don't like giving Marshall. I would have UN'd Marshall, and then NATO would have been free. Instead, Tim gives both, so we can hold UN to turn 4. But maybe it will look like a great decision if he picks up CIA. Tim without China, and obviously a grain CIA situation could be GG, and Tim doesn't want that. So giving up some position in Europe in exchange for some security there with UN. So that makes sense. Okay, here we go, turn 4, and a great hand for Tim. Wow, another incredibly strong hand. He gets Purge. 5-year plan Europe also gets 1 small step to stop the double. Alliance when it's going to be 2 or less. Cultural to pull back China if he needs it. The only thing he doesn't have is a good card to use UN on. Okay, there's Junta. So Giorgio presumably goes into Argentina here. I'm going to go Brazil instead. Oh, he gets the 5. All right, well, I suspect Tim may just try a jam here, but okay, no, he's just going to take Dom in South America. That's the smart thing to do in case Giorgio has the scoring. Yeah, I definitely don't. Tim, I definitely don't. I handle Europe differently than you. I wouldn't willingly give up both Marshall and NATO when I didn't need to, but You do you. Now Tim's going to 5-year plan Europe and probably going to end up having to play UN for ops. But that's better than having CIA and needing to play that for ops. Special was played, yes, Tim, but I would have liked to keep alive the opportunity to brush war Italy at a coin flip. Okay, and there's IP war. Tim did overprotect Pakistan. I kind of missed it there for a second. The war misses, though. And now we'll see if Tim... Yeah. Okay, I'm having trouble understanding that. Okay, well, there's Brush. Okay, why are we spacing 5-year plan instead of 5-year planning Europe? I do not understand that. Okay, well, that... Okay. Tim's spaced 5-year plan. He really, really wants to hold UN. Tim is hanging on to UN intervention like grim death. Very nervous about losing to CIA here. So he's going to give up 5 VPs. He's going to give up 5 VPs to Europe. And, well, he may try a jam here. We'll see. But, yeah, he's going to give up 5 VPs to Europe and another 2 to Alliance that he didn't have to give up, although he did pick up 2 VPs on one small step. But he could have gotten those anyway by spacing Alliance. Okay, and Tim gets a little bit more VP relief. I would have just jammed West Germany there, I think. But okay. Or I would have jammed West Germany before scoring Europe, rather. No reason to do it after scoring it. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, Giorgio is purged. So I would have much rather seen Tim just trigger cultural if he was that worried about CIA. But okay, Tim giving up those VPs. Oh boy, that is large. Just flipping Angola like that. This has been a brutal purge for Giorgio. Tim not going to realign. Instead, he's going to allow Giorgio to realign if he wants to. But Tim with access back in. Oh, and he does have South America. What a tough turn there for Giorgio. Even though Tim had to, Tim chose to give up 5 VPs to Europe. Okay, well, here's another hand for Tim. This one is garbage. Tim with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1-ops, a couple of 2s, and a scoring. Still no CIA. Okay, and there goes Kennedy. Kennedy presumably will hit Africa and the Middle East. Maybe one or the other. We'll see. Quagmire libs Southeast Asia. Wow. Okay. So those are good cards to get rid of, certainly. But I'm sure he was hoping to hit Africa or the Middle East, but does not hit them and does not redraw them either. So does pick up Sadat. CRGs is going to be annoying for Tim. But yeah, I'm not sure what you do. I guess you could coup Guatemala here with Gunman. I think that would be my play, yeah. And then you're going to take a big swing Wow. Okay, he hits and he rolls exactly a 4. I don't know. I might have saved China to repair the CRG damage that's about to happen. But okay, Tim flips Mexico over, and now looks like he's going to get a domination in Central America. So Tim's decision turn looks to be a good one. Yeah, there's CRG. Tim now does not have a 4-op, but he's going to use he can use a 3 here to take back the 3 African countries. Southeast Asia, remember, was discarded to Kennedy, so it will not be back until the late war, if at all. China card is face down, so Thailand doesn't need an immediate overprotect. The rest of Tim's hand, though, is garbage. Tim with still 4 1-ops. Yeah, there goes an Angola flip. Tim powerless to do anything about that, but he'll say, you know what, that's fine. I'll take my 5 in Central. CMC, I wonder if this just flips Nigeria. No, overprotects and takes India. I would have just flipped Nigeria, I think. I think that's better, but India seems like it probably could have waited, whereas Nigeria could not. All right, I assume Giorgio now is going to want to take South Africa. At some point, we're going to need to see realliance in South America. Sadat is going to be evented at some point this turn. Muslim Revolution is still around, though, so keep in mind that that would, at this exact moment, make Giorgio presenceless in the Middle East, and in fact would leave him with just 1 influence there overall. Che is going to give up a coup in Colombia. Tim hits the roll. Yeah, that's definitely an annoying coup to give up, but Giorgio probably figured he needed the 3 ops. Or he's got something worse to space, although he got rid of a lot of bad red cards to Kennedy. I wonder if this will be 1 South Africa. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. 1 South Africa and threaten both realigns. Of course, this stops both threats. Or rather, not just both realigns, 3 realigns. 3 separate real. Okay, I don't understand that. I don't understand why that wasn't Cameroon with Africa scored. With Central America scored, but okay. There goes Sadat, as we knew would be coming. And Tim gives OAS. My goodness. Tim now holding on to UN for grain. He's been holding UN since turn 2. He's given up some painful U.S. events in order to do it. Some painful U.S. events and some painful U.S. scorings. Tim thinks he's so far ahead that that stuff doesn't matter. Okay, grain and voice here. Grain is spaceable, but can't space both grain and voice. We will bury you gone, so Missile Envy is safe. Portuguese is strong as well, although okay, and there goes Missile Envy. So Tim knew CIA was in Giorgio's hand. Yeah, and Muslims is a huge pickup. Even though Tim did not pick up the scoring. Giorgio presumably is going to want to coup Zaire here, but he's got a huge Middle East problem. He will see that Tim doesn't have the scoring, but obviously Giorgio could have it himself. Okay, Sadat and Nasser both gone. So Egypt and Libya wide open. I do not believe we have seen puppet governments. Yeah, and Tim fixes up Thailand, puts one in Venezuela. We'll see if Giorgio wants to flip Thailand with China. He can do it. But Giorgio's Usuri play on AR7 was kind of neutered by the fact that he played CIA, which he held in his hand at the next turn because that lowers DEFCON to 2, enables Tim to respond to what happened with Usuri. Okay. Oh, sorry, folks. My mistake. Missile envy there. So Tim, could only respond with 2 ops. That's why Tim split his 2 ops. I think, yeah, this will clearly be this. That makes sense. And now puppet's not a problem for Tim. So missile envy doing a lot of work there. Gets Thailand back, gets Venezuela back, and make sure that Tim can that puppets can't get Giorgio back into the Western Middle East. Camp David can. Finally, we see Tim use UN and part with it. Egypt. Now Giorgio can take Egypt if he wants, but it's not going to decide domination. Middle East should still be a big number for Tim. Tim presumably going to space VOA here. That will put both grain and VOA back into the deck for the late war. Tim probably breathing a sigh of relief that CIA is gone for good, though. Not happy about the South Korea situation. He's not going to be able to effectively contest it. Going to take Egypt instead. Wondered if we might see the event there, but Tim really without a follow-up. Tim also needs his mill ops here. Okay, and there goes South Korea. So Tim spaces, misses. That means he'll be able to continue to space 2s on turn 7. Independent Red's a mild annoyance, but Romania is not going to really factor into this game. Tim, at the moment, is going to be stuck cooing Costa Rica for his mill ops, unless something changes. Tim probably also wants to realign Brazil. Okay, there's a coup. Oh, and the perfect roll forces Tim to coup Costa Rica, and he hits the roll. Wow. Empties out Costa Rica. I probably would have liked to roll a 5 there, maybe set up future realigns in Panama. And nuke subs coming. I wonder what Tim is going to do with that. Tim will probably poke Jordan with nuke subs. That would be a nasty play with Middle East scoring coming next turn. Okay, there goes Saharan. Misses on the roll. This should be a Jordan poke. No. Oh, gonna realign and hit. One roll flips over Brazil. But now Giorgio is going to take a Nigeria coup, presumably. Or at least I would. Okay, well, that's just a mistake with South America unscored. With South America scored, Africa unscored. Okay, so here we go, turn 7. Giorgio gets Africa, and Tim gets a strong hand here. He picks up Quagmire, gets Salt, and 5-year plan and Duck, which I'm sure he's happy to dispose of, turn 7 before we get to the late war. Yeah, bear trap, and Tim happy to throw puppets into that trap, or duck, that's fine. There goes the trap, and now we will presumably see a coup of Nigeria, the one that we should have seen last turn. This one misses. And I wonder if we'll just see 2 Nigeria, 2 South Africa here. I believe ABM is still around. I am not certain, though. So Tim's going to go Cameroon to maybe protect Nigeria from an ABM type situation. But Giorgio doesn't need Nigeria to get domination. He is going to need some more countries, though. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Sudan would get him domination. But Tim's got the ops to fight this. Giorgio's still thinking about his decision here. He's got Africa in his hand. I believe he also has ABM. Okay, there's a 4-op. That I believe is a redraw. And okay, he does stop domination. Tim takes a 1-op coup, but he does rather take domination. Tim stops it with a 1-op coup. Also puts one into Israel, which makes sense given that Middle East. He's staring down the barrel of a Middle East control. But it has been a bit of a theme for Giorgio that he's been investing a lot into scored regions. Asia's even now, but Tim scored a big domination earlier on. And so, yeah, a lot of investment in regions after they already scored. That coup in South America on turn 6 after nuke subs, that should have been in Africa, given that it's about to be scored. Tim's going to take his realigns. Wow, okay, and he's going to give up this domination in Africa. Little surprised at that. But Tim going to go for long-term gains. Southeast was discarded. Jeremy. Southeast discarded to Kennedy. Salt for OPEC. Makes a lot of sense. That's going to be a nice 6 VPs for Tim. Tim presumably will coup with containment here, though, to get his mill ops. Otherwise, he's giving away half the VPs that he's going to get with OPEC. He does have to hold OPEC till turn 8, which obviously risks a pickup of North Sea for Giorgio. But Tim with a 7 VP lead. Now, he does need to be worried about a Europe control situation. CIA is gone. Okay, ABM. Okay, and a miss. ABM coup under salt. I wonder if that could have been held. Here we go, turn 8. We Will Bury You is around, but terrorism, reformers, huge to steal Italy. And that should do it. That is going to be very hard for Giorgio to come back now. Okay, tear down. Yeah, not much to be done here. I think you just coup Poland or West Germany. Yeah, that's going to miss. This will just take that back. Take Italy as well, and I'd put at least one more into Poland. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you just take... shuttle is an issue for Tim. I will point that out. If you take Italy with shuttle, that's a problem in Asia because it does give Giorgio Dom there. Yes, coup East Germany. My mistake, Alex. Okay, Tim just going to take his VPs. Interesting. But Tim definitely doesn't want to give up EEU here, I don't think. Doesn't want to give up shuttle. Okay, I'm going to let Giorgio take Europe Dom back. Tim getting rid of his obligations here. Yeah, he had Europe. So Tim gives up more VPs in Europe. Tim could have 5-year planned Europe in the mid-war, chose not to. Tim could have taken Italy there, again chose not to because of the speculative threat of Asia, and gives up more VPs. So Tim looks like somebody who's probably going to stomach EEU and space shuttle, perhaps. What Tim is going to do is defer that decision as late as possible, it would seem. Wants to see if maybe Giorgio has Asia and he can get off a free shuttle. Okay, so Tim is going to stomach EEU and take Eastern Europe down. Chernobyl still a threat. Tear down EEU now gone. Star Wars inactive but could become active. Okay, there goes Central. That's 3. Presumably Tim did all this because he wants to space shuttle, I would think. But I guess he's also worried about grain. Yeah, I think I would have just taken Italy with shuttle and said, you know what? Yeah, you want to score a one-time Asia dom, that's fine. I'll stop Europe dom in the long term. Iran Contra, U.S. takes Romania. That's a fun one. Okay, Tim decides not to space, worried about grain. I understand that, given the big lead that he has. So this, I assume, will be with Central scored. It may not be, but yeah, I like that. Set up the realigns in Central. Giorgio needs his mill ops here. Okay, yeah, so that's another good reason not to space. So okay, here we go. Turn 9. And Tim picks up Star Wars, which I'm sure he's thrilled to see. Also picks up UN, which I suspect he will be holding to turn 10 if at all possible. Cal is annoying given the flip in South Korea. Stops stops war games threat for the time being. So what's Cal gonna do? I wonder if it's just gonna jam something. And if it does, I think Tim may just use Star Wars AR1 anyway. Because he really wants to make sure he gets that out of his hand so he can hold UN for turn 10. Tim's been playing very nervous about DEF CON this entire game. Okay, yep, realigns in Mexico do make sense. Nope, yeah, just going to jam. Maybe he has South America. Tim now thinking about whether he can get away with. Okay, he's going to take it back and risk the space shot. I guess he also figures that he can simply space Star Wars if Giorgio spaces and hits. Blockade hits Pershing. Okay, maybe we're looking at special. Okay, Tim will happily get Star Wars out of his hand. Perhaps now Tim will space shuttle if he has to get to headline peak because he's going to hold UN. Solidarity is not going to bother Tim very much. This is just a nice, easy fix. Yeah. Tim also doesn't particularly care about East Germany. Just needs to make sure he's not controlled there. He's got a 6 VP lead. He's got a comfortable domination in the Middle East, comfortable control in South America. Turn 9 omit. Trying to pull some scoring cards or thin out the deck, maybe looking for Chernobyl. But all of the Europe attack cards other than Chernobyl are gone. So unlikely that Chernobyl is going to do it here. Swing and a miss there. Tim does probably need to overprotect North Korea. He's got an issue there. Jam of North Korea could be an Asia Dom for Giorgio. So I would like to see a North Korea overprotect here. Israel doesn't matter, guys. Okay, I still would like to see a North Korea overprotect over these even realigns. There it is. Tim now, if he wants to stop Asia Dom, he's going to have to UN shuttle, which he won't want to do. Yep. So Giorgio sees that, and now he's going to flip North Korea or just score Asia right here. Yeah, I don't like how Tim played that. Okay, Aldrich dumps decall. So Giorgio going to miss an AR here or have to play China. Tim going to give up a VP to defectors, perhaps to defend North Korea. And we'll see if Giorgio wants to play China and flip North Korea. He won't, and he won't get Millops either. Turn 10, okay, this is a nice turn 10 hand. This should be good enough. Cal's gone. We will bury you as safe. UN in our hand. Defectors is gone, so that's a guaranteed 3 VPs if he wants to. Junta is a okay headline to flip Panama, but I would rather I prefer We Will Bury You here, I think. We Will Bury You, lower DEFCON to 2 so we don't have to coup, and then we take South Korea, and then we take North Korea back would be my play. Tim goes Junta instead. I would have rather. Oh wow, and he hits the roll. Okay, well it accomplishes the same thing and maintains our ops. I would have rather just taken the 3 VP, but that's fine. Okay, so Tim gets away with the North Korea situation. He does have to give up shuttle. But I'm sure he's not that troubled by that, and he can simply UN voice here, which I suspect he will do next AR if he can. And there goes Asia, so he does have to give up the 5 VP Asia Dom. Still, though, looking very good here. Oh, Tim hits the roll. Tim hits the IP war roll. Yeah, obviously could have headlined IP War, which would have stopped Dom, but definitely Junta or We Will Bury You was a better decision. Yeah, this is fine. I don't think Tim's worried about Vietnam here. Tim with a 4 VP lead, but he's got 20 in the Americas. Africa is 4, Europe is 5 for Giorgio. And then he's got another big score in the Middle East. Yeah, Tim has this one in final, even though he's just got 1-op plays the rest of the way, and then maybe a brush in Africa. You don't have a lot of good targets. Can't brush Italy. No targets in Asia. What the heck are you brushing? I don't know what Tim's going to brush. I guess he'll just brush Africa and hope he hits it with a 5, or you can just play brush for 2 ops, which is reasonable. It's just a nice 1-op fix. That's the desperation play of somebody who has South America. Yeah, Jordan Brush does make sense. It is unmodified, but Giorgio can just take Middle East presence with 1-op. Does Tim want to get cute and realign here? He does not. Okay. And Giorgio going to take presence in South America. He's playing like a man who has the scoring. Stick around after this one, folks. We will have another game of Tim's coming right up for you. We'll see Tim against Harry Wu. Okay, event for Millops. That doesn't really do anything. Would have needed a 6. Yeah, South America. So there it is. Tim picks up a win by 28. Comfortable win in final in the end, but could have been a lot more. Tim played in fear of some of DEFCON cards and didn't really have any DEFCON problems. Could have gotten out of an Asia scoring, could have gotten out of 2 Europe scorings, but played it very conservatively and won by 28 anyway. So congratulations to Tim. Nice dub. Let's switch over the video to the next game. This one is Tim and Harry. Tim, the U.S. for this one. So with that win, Tim improves to 4-1. If Tim can win this one, he clinches a playoff spot in Atlantic League, something I know nothing about. If Harry wins it, Harry improves to 6-1 and clinches the number 2 spot in the group. Harry is Scott Sennin finished 7-0 in this group, finished undefeated. So he took the number 1 seed. Wow, Vietnam Ducks. Strong start for Harry. He needs to hit the roll, though, and he does, emphatically. So we'll see if Tim tries the coup back. He is going to, and he gets just enough with the containment-boosted Warsaw. So gets back into Iran. Iran might still be taken, but Tim is now going to be able to be first to Pakistan, which is important. He's got IP war in his hand. I wonder if this will be Lebanon and Iran. Yep, it will be. So Tim needs to take Egypt and Pakistan here, I would think. Yeah, Tim needs to take Middle East presence. Wow. Wow, Tim, that's a big risk to take. I would have used my 4-op there. But, okay. Tim going to stop Asia Dom now that Harry has shown he doesn't have the scoring. Yep. 5 countries now in Asia for Harry. Does Harry have Asia scoring? Does not. We're going to take a Middle East Dom. Tim wants a Space Nasser, so gets that off. And then presumably AR7, Tim wants to take Libya, but he might eat a West Germany poke. Cambridge 5 is a poke. Yep. And Tim, I think, needs to fix that and take Europe Dom. Yep. Okay, so Tim dominated the Middle East at the moment. He picks up Europe and Middle East. De Gaulle looming. France unprotected at the moment. We did see SOC Govs. CNS, not really an appealing headline at the moment, given where Tim is on the space track. Middle East, you are going to give up 3. Nasser is gone. Well, it's in the discard. So Middle East, you won't get stuck presenceless. Question is, where will the coup come? Interesting. Truman does nothing here. Yeah. Okay, Tim may be worried about de Gaulle. But okay, Harry now with the opportunity to just put China or some other four-op, okay, UN of US Japan into France. Okay, well, now Tim dominated in Europe. It's going to eat a domination in the Middle East as well. May lose Algeria here as well. On top of that, and yeah, Truman could have been used to take out a West Germany. That's a good point, Jeremy. If West Germany had been left at 4-1, Truman could have been used to take out of West Germany, protect France. But now Tim is almost certainly not going to be able to stop this domination in Europe. He also used independent Reds for that coup. I might have used Formosan instead. Formosan was definitely not getting evented. Independent Reds maybe gets evented 1 out of 100 times. And it does stop Dom. Okay, there's Asia. There's Middle East for even. Wow, Harry does not put the 2 into Saudi to get Dom there. Okay, and I understand why. He doesn't want to give those cards up. And I understand why he didn't go into Algeria. Yeah, boy, I would like to see. I sure would like to see Tim have independent Reds in his hand right now. I really would like to see Tim have independent Reds in his hand right now. Force Harry to spend 2 ops, either giving up China or giving up NORAD to get this Dom. I think that was a mistake by Tim. A small one, but a significant one. I think Tim probably spaces Korean War here, holds CNS for a guaranteed 2VP if he hits the Korean War roll. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure where special is. It might be in Harry's hand. So okay, I understand that, but I think I would have preferred to space Korean War, and then maybe have double space, maybe have a guaranteed 2VP with CNS. But okay, here we go to turn 3. This will need to be Marshall. Marshall's a nice headline. Doesn't stop Europe Dom on its own, but it comes close. It means there should be no long-term Europe Dom for Harry. The rest of his hand's ugly, though. Tim is going to want to space Fidel, presumably. And then he's going to have to give both wars and hold D-stall, I would think. Yep, decall the headline. No surprise if Harry redrew defectors. Decall is known. This will go Nigeria, Angola, probably Indonesia as well, and then what? Algeria, maybe even Thailand. Yeah, Algeria makes sense. Coup of Panama, just enough. Spending the big 4-op to get in there. And Tim stops. Little confused why Tim wanted to put 2 into Portugal versus just 1 into Greece. I don't know why Portugal was that important. I feel like you can lose Portugal there and just take Greece, Turkey, Canada, but okay. Ops might be at a premium this turn. Also wonder if Tim is going to want to take Israel. We'll see what the situation is with AI war. Tim's definitely going to want to space Fidel, and if he hits the roll, he's definitely going to want to double space, I would have to think. Okay, what does Harry want to do? Harry's going to want to take Panama. He's going to need to take Zaire. He'll want to get into South Africa, shore up Thailand, maybe fight for Israel. So he's got stuff to do, even though he missed out on D-Stall. Okay, defectors. Harry will give up the VP for the two ops. I think I space Fidel here if I'm Tim, because I want to know if I've got that double space. And Tim hits the roll. Still has to give up one of the wars, but doesn't have to give up both. Okay, yeah, an overprotective Angola, an overprotect of Thailand, and one into South Africa all makes sense. And Tim does take Israel. Now, I wonder if Tim will use AI War to take Jordan and guarantee the AI War loss, or if he'll just space it. Yeah, going to guarantee the AI War loss. Will it be a 6? I don't know, but a 5. So if Tim had just given AI war with one in Israel, he would have lost the war. Oh, big IP war coming. Misses the roll. Huge sigh of relief there for Tim. And Tim now with the option to space Korean War if he wants to. Okay, blockade for the event. I think D-Stall was known. Okay, and Tim hits the roll, so he does get there. Okay, scoring cards in hand for Tim, but also decent ops. He's got We Will Bury You, he's got ABM, Missile Envy in his hand. But 3 scorings aren't what Tim wants to see, particularly these 3. Asia scoring not so great. That looks like it's going to be 5 for Harry, barring a big number on ABM. Europe should just be 1, barring something crazy. But Southeast is ugly right now at 5. So Tim goes Missile Envy, not wanting to take the big roll on Thailand. Effectively, he needs a 6 to flip Thailand, because if he ABMs Thailand, rolls a 5, you'll just get the China flip right back, and not much is accomplished. But if you do get the 6, obviously it's 4 VP saved in Southeast Asia, and it's 6 VP saved in Asia. So it would be a huge reward, but you really need to take a big risk. And ABM can be used in other regions to a much greater effect with a lower roll. Now, U.S. Japan, U.S. Japan was UN. So Tim's probably going to have to take Japan here if Missile Envy doesn't pull it. Oh, it does pull it. Okay, Tim picks up U.S. Japan and is going to get out of Asia Dom here presumably. Tim does eat a big coup in Algeria, which is unfortunate for him. So he's way behind in Africa. So Asia should be 0 now. Europe just 1. Okay, this should be Botswana. And Tim going to coup and... Oh, what a disaster of a 1. That was an anything but a... And now, yeah, that's horrific for Tim. Tim can't do anything about that and now has to start dumping scorings. Yeah, a huge 6 for Harry in Algeria to flip it with a 2-op coup, and then a huge 1 for Tim in Angola. That was a brutal sequence. Tim could be up 3 battlegrounds to 2. Instead, he's down 4-1, and Harry threatening for more. Backbreaking roll sequence there goes against Tim. Another roll hit there. Okay. All right. Well, that's a nice omit. That's a very nice omit. Tim maybe hoping for Kennedy here. One small step for the event to stop the double. Okay. Yeah, Tim going to space we will bury you. No point in holding on to it with Muslims gone. And then, oh boy, the Nasser event hurts as well. That gives Middle East Dom right back to Harry. And sure enough, here's Middle East. Tim gets Kennedy, so he could dump Middle East with Kennedy. Headline peak here. Tim could go with a purge. OPEC's 3, it's unplayable, so OPEC's got to be spaced. Brush, what's that going to do? I guess Libya, right? Incredibly unlucky for Tim. Yeah, there goes Libya. Incredibly unlucky for Tim that Harry gets both Sadat and Nasser in his hands, able to dump Sadat harmlessly, then trigger Nasser. And then, sure enough, he flips over Libya. So Tim's going to get dominated in the Middle East regardless, and Tim's going to have to discard it with Kennedy just to stay alive in this game. And interesting, Harry does not go for a coup in Venezuela. Instead, he's going to let Tim have the coup in Africa. I'm a little surprised there. I think I might have tried the Venezuela coup, or I might have couped Panama and said, you know what, you can have the top half of South America. I need to hold on to Panama and the African countries. Yeah, in ordinary circumstances, Tim would probably want to use Purge to take Venezuela and Brazil, but he probably wants to save his ops. Yeah, Middle East right now is 3, 4, 5. So Tim going to dump OPEC, Middle East, and presumably Kitchen. This should be, yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you don't Kennedy first. I would have Kennedied and dumped Kitchen. Okay, the Pope and Puppets. Pope's nice. I mean, I would trigger it because I'd always trigger it. Puppets is nice too. Can help you in Africa. Nixon should. I would event all of Nixon. I guess I would event Nixon. I would event the Pope, and I would event Puppets. I'd hold Purge. Particularly now, Purge basically stops the spacing of anything. Yeah, I would event this. Yeah. I like eventing the Pope because Warsaw is gone, and it opens Poland up to a jam later, makes EEU more painful, does all kinds of things. I just think it's better than 2 ops. Oh boy. Okay, OPEC is huge here, going to be 6. Oh, I don't know that I understand that. I don't know that I understand that. Willie, the VP of Willie, plus the VPs of OPEC would have been GG. Okay, Tim gets CNS. No, CNS wouldn't have stopped it. CNS wouldn't have stopped a Willie event followed by OPEC event. I'm a little surprised that Harry didn't trigger Willie Brandt there. I might have triggered it and then salted for OPEC. But yeah, cultural is gone. I'm not sure about you two. Have to think OPEC would be. I don't know. Like Junta's good, but I would have to think OPEC is the headline, and then you space for the win. Tim headlines Junta here. I get it, but he's got to be worried about a CNS headline is much safer. But if you give up a dom in Africa, you're cooked anyway. So I can understand the Junta headline. Yeah, defectors must be around. I'm not remembering. So Africa, I think. Okay, okay, and there goes C5. So Africa would have been safe. Okay, and Tim flips over Venezuela again. Goes for Venezuela when Central's unscored. I'm a little bit puzzled by that. Um, but okay, now Harry hits Africa with Cambridge 5. He's not going to be able to stop this Dom though. He um, he could, the one was not going to flip any battlegrounds. The one it could go into Sahara and that would temporarily stop Dom. Tim should be able to still get the Dom though with VOA in his hand. Also has positive realigns on Zaire. But we may see Saharan and then a coup of Cameroon and fight on country count. No, going to space immediately. Yep, and that would have been huge. So if he hits that space roll, then OPEC is GG. Tim now can retake Dom and know that he can trigger CNS at his leisure. Yeah, but OPEC into VOA doesn't do anything, Tim. He can headline OPEC into VOA and still get his 6. All right, I think you want to fight for this Dom, but I think I would trigger CNS here just to get it out of the way. It is an obligation before I continue this fight. Yeah, Tim, you're not the first one to make that mistake. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to headline. OPEC, people think of OPEC as a scoring card, and you know, I never want to headline a scoring card into VOA. But yes, VOA doesn't do anything against OPEC. But it works out great for Tim. He uses Junta, flips over Venezuela, saves Africa from a coup, and then doesn't eat that 3 VP because if Harry hits that roll, it's over. Oh my goodness, he had U2. I don't understand why U2 wasn't the headline. U2 is a much better headline than Cambridge 5, isn't it? So you headline, yeah, I don't understand that. You headline U2. If it doesn't get defected and Tim doesn't headline a VP card, OPEC is GG. Okay, I guess. Never mind. Because Tim headlined Junta and he flipped Venezuela, OPEC plus Junta would only have been OPEC plus U2 would only have been 5 VP, not 6. So it only gets into 19. The speculation that he's worried about defectors. But yeah, that's the only reason not to headline OPEC there. Maybe Harry was worried about maybe Harry was worried about VOA when he shouldn't have been. Maybe he made the same mistake Tim did. Okay, well, Tim doesn't have defectors. We'll see if Harry has defectors. He should have triggered Willie last turn, or OPEC. He cooed with Willie and missed. He could have triggered Willie. But yeah, I don't know what the defector situation is. I think it was played. I don't think Harry has it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not understanding Harry's line of play here. Okay, well, Tim redraws Muslims, which is basically free. Che's definitely annoying. And Quagmire obviously is Quagmire. Brush has an appealing target in Panama or Argentina. Meantime, Israel's sitting there all by its lonesome. Camp David not in effect. I feel like Harry had a pretty reasonable path to 20 there and did not take advantage of it. And so we play on. Harry's still with the advantage in this game. Tim with 0 dominations on the board. Harry is ahead battlegrounds in the Middle East. He's ahead battlegrounds in Europe. Central tied, South America tied. Tim ahead battlegrounds in Africa, but without a domination. And of course, Harry with 12 VPs on the board. And make that 15. Oh, Tim has Argentina? Okay, well, I missed that. Okay, so Tim is ahead in South America, and Harry plays We Will Bury You, and he's going to want to overprotect Zaire certainly. Okay, there goes Camp David. Tim breathing a bit of a sigh of relief there. Tim Space Fidel on turn 3. Okay, yes, Tim does have Argentina, so he's not going to brush it. Yeah, Panama, the clear brush target here. Okay, nuke subs. Nuke subs is going to get us a coup of Zaire. But are we really going to coup Algeria? I don't think this. And we're gonna brush Panama, and we can't use it to coup in the Middle East. Okay, I don't understand that. That should have been Egypt. Egypt would go to 4, and both Nasser and Sadat are gone. So I don't understand why that was not Egypt, particularly, especially obviously with the Reagan bomb situation. Could be throwing away a VP there potentially. That I think is I'm pretty sure that should have been Egypt. But okay, not a huge deal. Yeah, that's the other thing is Tim should have triggered Muslims before that. If Tim was going to brush in the Middle East, he should have triggered Muslims first. Yeah, I don't love the way Tim has played this turn. I mean, we have Israel, though. Egypt's not going to be realigned because we have Israel. If anything, Egypt is better because it stops realignments on Israel. Okay, well, we get the Pope. Oh, you're saying we can realign Egypt. I see. Okay, with a high DEFCON. I mean, man, boy, that's a bit of a niche case, but okay. All right. Well, Tim with a domination in South now, domination in Africa. Okay, that's going to give him 3 VPs. Che's quite annoying here, but I think you have to take Argentina back, don't you? Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I would have made a decision like that based on the possibility of realigning Egypt. If DEFCON is high, we probably have better things to do than realign Egypt. But okay, I understand it. Okay, Tim. Wow, Tim's going to space instead. Give up on Argentina. He also spaces Che instead of Quagmire. But he hits the roll, so it doesn't really matter. He'll be able to discard Quagmire. Shuttle, potentially interesting in Asia, not so interesting in the Middle East. Tim would need to take 2 more countries in Asia to get Dom. Yeah, I don't like giving up Argentina either. Okay. All right. Tim takes Dom in Asia. Shuttle aided, of course. Tim gets Europe. Also gets special, which a couple of VPs, but not enough to stop war games. Tim also doesn't get any late war Europe attack cards. Special, I guess, is the headline here. Okay, CMC, protect Africa. Yeah, that makes sense too. Central scoring is even. And there goes War Games. All right. Well, congratulations to Harry. He picks up the win in this one. Harry improves to 6-1 in the Atlantic League season, clinches the second spot in Group A behind Scott. Tim falls to 4-2. He's got 1 game left against Steve Kuhn. If he wins that one, he's in. If he loses, he's still in unless Steve is able to get to at least 4-3. And Steve right now sitting 0-2. So Tim's still looking very good for the playoffs. But that is a lot of Twilight Struggle. So thank you, Tim, for sending over these videos. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. And I will be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to have a doubleheader that I'm playing in, a couple of OTSL games that are due soon. So hope you'll join me then. But until next time, this is Justin Abramson signing off for now. That was fun, but now it's done.